The millionaire offered a contract marriage to save her family, but she quietly healed in the storm had rolled in fast over the California coast, turning the late afternoon sky into a sheet of silver. Inside the glass-walled lobby of Cole New York Hotel, the marble floor reflected the cold glow of the chandeliers. Guests hurried past with rolling suitcases, but at the center of it all, Ethan Cole stood completely still. His suit was flawless. His expression was unreadable, but his entire empire was seconds away from slipping out of his hands. Across from him, Mia Turner clutched the strap of her worn tote bag, her breath tight, her eyes confused by the question he had just asked. Her clothes were simple, her voice soft, but the storm outside felt quieter than the moment between them. Ethan's words lingered in the air like the click of a lock. "Marry me, Mia. Not for love. For a contract." Her lips parted, not in romance, but in disbelief. The ceiling lights flickered slightly as thunder rolled over the skyline. And that was how everything began, with a millionaire, a desperate girl, and a contract that would shatter both of their carefully built worlds. What's going to happen to them? Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. The lobby doors slid shut behind her, muting the storm outside, but Mia Turner still felt the cold in her bones. She had come here expecting a conversation about a temporary job, maybe a modest assistant role, anything that could help her pay her mother's rising hospital bills. She never imagined standing in front of one of the most powerful hotel magnates in the country. Ethan Cole did not move as she tried to steady herself. His eyes carried the calm precision of a man who had been trained his whole life to hide fear, even as his family's empire trembled under the pressure of an upcoming vote. Behind him, the rain streaked down the tall windows like descending threads of silver. "I know you did not expect this," Ethan said quietly. His voice had the smoothness of someone who rarely raised it, but Mia could sense a tension underneath, a barely contained urgency. She swallowed. You want me to marry you?" "A contract marriage," he clarified. "Nothing more. Nothing emotional. Nothing that obligates you beyond the terms." The elevator chimed somewhere behind them, but Ethan did not turn. His attention stayed locked on her, as if the world outside that glass lobby did not exist. Mia felt her heartbeat in her throat. She had seen Ethan Cole on magazine covers, on television interviews, standing beside governors and philanthropists. She had never imagined speaking to him directly, let alone hearing the word marriage spill from his lips. "Why me?" she whispered. Ethan paused for one breath. It was the only sign that the question affected him. "Because you have nothing to gain by betraying me," he said. "Because you're not part of my world. And because I need someone who will not be used as a weapon by my family." The words struck deeper than he intended. Mia lowered her gaze. She thought of the eviction notice taped to her apartment door. She thought of her mother lying in a hospital bed, machines breathing for her on difficult nights. She thought of the tremble in her own hands every time another bill arrived in the mail. Ethan stepped closer, careful, almost restrained. "I will cover all medical expenses. Your home will be safe. Your mother will have the care she deserves. You will not owe me anything beyond the contract." His voice softened as if he hated needing to say the next part. "And if I do not marry before the board meeting, I will lose the one place I have left to protect." Mia lifted her eyes. She did not know yet about Hydrangea Cove. She did not know about the Cam 2 Caw Garden or the memories that kept Ethan awake at night. But she saw something unexpected in his expression. Loneliness. Real, raw, and hidden under steel. Her breath tightened. "Ethan, this is insane," she whispered. "Yes," he replied. "But so is life, Mia. Sometimes the only way forward is the one that makes no sense." Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating his face for a single stark moment. And Mia realized her decision would change both of their lives. The rain eased into a steady whisper against the hotel windows as Mia followed Ethan through a private corridor behind the lobby. Her footsteps echoed in the narrow space, softer than his but quicker, as if she was trying to keep up with a future she did not choose. The golden sconces on the wall cast warm light on the two of them, but Mia felt the chill of uncertainty cling to her skin. They reached a small meeting lounge, quiet and tucked away from the bustle of the hotel. Ethan held the door open for her, his face unreadable, a perfect mask honed by years of boardrooms and battles he had learned to fight alone. Mia stepped inside. A folder lay on the glass table. Her name was printed on the front in clean black letters. "This explains the contract," Ethan said. He did not sit. He stood beside the window, watching the rain run in thin, silver streams down the glass. "You could decline at any moment. I will not pressure you." He said the words calmly, but Mia could hear something else beneath the surface. Something heavy, something that sounded like fear. She opened the folder with careful fingers. Every page was neatly formatted. Legal terms, responsibilities, medical coverage, duration, and a clause that struck her deeper than she expected. No public affection required. No personal expectations. No emotional involvement. Her throat tightened. This was not a marriage. It was a wall built brick by brick. Ethan turned slightly toward her. "If the board believes I am settling down, they will not attempt to remove me during the vote. They want stability, and they think a married man symbolizes that." Mia met his gaze. "And what happens if you lose the vote?" He exhaled slowly. "Then I lose Hydrangea Cove." The name meant nothing to Mia yet, but the way he said it made her chest tighten, like the syllables carried an entire lifetime inside them. "Is that hotel really so important?" she asked. A shadow passed through Ethan's expression. "It is the last place my mother ever walked, the last place she ever laughed, and the last promise I made was to protect it." The room went still. Mia lowered her eyes. Nothing about his request felt romantic. It felt like stepping into the quiet heartbreak of a man who had carried too much alone. She closed the folder, but did not let go of it. "If I agree, what happens to me?" "You will remain independent," Ethan said. "You will not owe me anything. You will be given protection, housing, and your mother's care will be fully covered." His tone softened, barely audible. "You will not be trapped. I am not that kind of man." Mia se trembled. In the chaos of bills, hospital nights, and the fragile hope that her mother might recover, no one had ever offered her certainty. No one had stood between her and fear. No one had looked at her the way Ethan was looking now, calm, steady, as if she mattered. Lightning flashed again, reflecting in his eyes. "I do not trust people easily," he admitted quietly, "but I believe you will not use me the way my family does." Her heart clenched. It was strange. He was the millionaire. He was the powerful one. Yet at this moment, he looked like the one who could break. Mia rose slowly from the chair. The storm outside had softened into a gentle hum. Her pulse matched it, steady but uncertain. "Ethan," she whispered, "I need time to think." "Of course," he said, but his shoulders stiffened for one brief second, betraying how much he feared her answer. As she walked past him, her fingers brushed the contract folder against her chest. The warmth of his presence lingered behind her, almost like a heartbeat she was not supposed to hear. She left the room without looking back, knowing that if she did, she might see something in his eyes that would make the decision even harder. In the hallway, Mia paused, staring at the rain-drenched city through the tall windows. Her life had never offered her choices, but now she held one that could change everything. And on the other side of the door, Ethan stood alone, listening to her footsteps fade, wondering if the one person he dared to trust was already slipping away. Mia stood under the hotel's wide awning the next morning, watching the city wake beneath a pale silver sky. The rain had passed, leaving the streets glistening like wet glass. Taxi horns echoed, steam rose from subway grates, and people hurried by with coffee cups and briefcases. Life moved forward without hesitation, yet Mia felt suspended in a quiet moment between two futures. She held the contract in her hands. The pages felt heavier than paper should. Behind her, the revolving doors turned, and Ethan Cole stepped out. He was dressed in a crisp charcoal suit, but there was something different in his expression. a quiet caution, a question he did not speak aloud. The morning light caught the faint tiredness beneath his eyes, as if he had not slept since she walked away. "Mia," he said softly. She turned to him, her fingers tightening on the folder. "I thought about everything all night." His jaw tensed for a moment, but he nodded. "Whatever your decision is, I will respect it." Her breath trembled. "I will do it, Ethan." For one heartbeat, the world seemed to still. The cars, the voices, the shift of wind along the street felt muted. Something unspoken flickered across his face. Not triumph, not relief, but something deeper and more fragile. "Thank you," he said quietly. Not businesslike, not rehearsed, almost human. He gestured toward a waiting car. "We should leave soon. The board will assume we are spending the first week away from the city. It is the perfect reason to take you to Hydrangea Cove." Mia hesitated. "The place you mentioned yesterday. It is important to you." "It is everything that reminds me of who I used to be," he replied. "Before all of this." His hand lifted faintly, indicating the tall hotel behind him, the empire he carried like a weight on his back. They stepped into the black sedan. The city unfurled behind them as they headed toward the coast. Hours passed with the hum of the highway and the soft rhythm of waves growing louder in the distance. Mia watched Ethan from the corner of her eye. He kept his posture straight, his gaze fixed on the horizon, but there was a quiet tension in the way his fingers pressed into his palm. As they approached the resort, the sky opened into a wide stretch of blue. Hydrangea Cove appeared like a dream rising from the cliffs. White buildings with curved balconies, tall windows facing the ocean, and gardens of blue and violet hydrangeas swaying in the breeze. Mia leaned forward involuntarily. "It is beautiful." A soft sound escaped Ethan, almost like the echo of a memory. "My mother designed the first garden here. She believed flowers could anchor the heart." The car stopped, and Ethan stepped out first. The ocean wind ruffled his hair, loosening the pristine edges he normally guarded so carefully. For a moment, he did not look like a millionaire or a CEO. He looked like a son standing at the threshold of a place that still held his mother's laughter. Mia joined him on the stone path. The scent of salt and blooming hydrangeas drifted around them. Employees greeted Ethan with warm familiarity, calling him Mr. Cole, but smiling as if he was more than just their employer. Ethan's expression softened in return, almost imperceptibly. Inside the lobby, sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating polished wood floors and framed photographs of the resort's early days. Mia paused at a picture of Ethan as a child beside a woman with gentle eyes and a wide smile. "That is her," Ethan said quietly behind her. "My mother." Mia turned to him. His gaze was distant, as if he was caught between past and present. "Thank you for bringing me here," she said. He met her eyes, and for a brief moment, something unguarded surfaced. Trust, or perhaps the beginning of it. "This is where our story begins," Ethan said, "whether we planned it or not." Mia felt her heartbeat shift, as if the ocean itself had moved inside her chest. The afternoon sun settled over Hydrangea Cove like a soft, golden veil. Waves rolled gently against the shore, and the scent of blooming hydrangeas drifted through the open walkways. Mia followed Ethan through the resort as he gave her a quiet tour, though it felt less like a formal introduction and more like he was cautiously sharing pieces of himself. They walked along a stone path lined with violet and blue blossoms. A soft breeze moved through the petals, carrying an almost nostalgic sweetness. This garden was her favorite, Ethan said, his voice low but steady. "My mother said the ocean wind helped the flowers learn resilience." Mia glanced at him. "You talk about her with a kind of light in your voice." He hesitated, as if surprised she noticed. She was the light. Everything else came after. They paused near a corner of the garden where an old wooden bench sat facing the sea. Its paint had faded, but someone had cared for it enough to keep it from falling apart. "Did she sit here often?" Mia asked. "Every morning," Ethan replied. "She said the ocean helped her think clearly. When she was gone, I stopped coming here." Mia watched his shoulders tighten, just slightly, the movement almost invisible. She wanted to reach out, but kept her hands folded in front of her. This was not the moment to cross boundaries the contract had laid between them. Inside the resort, employees greeted Ethan with warmth that caught Mia off guard. A housekeeper smiled and handed him a small bag of homemade cookies. A maintenance worker waved from across the lobby. Even a front desk clerk brightened visibly the moment Ethan stepped into view. "You are loved here," Mia said softly. Ethan blinked, almost startled by the words. "I do not know if loved is the right word. Respected, maybe." Mia shook her head. "People do not light up like that for respect alone." He looked away, as if unsure what to do with the idea. Later that afternoon, they entered the suite where they would stay during their first week at the resort. It was spacious and filled with natural light, with tall windows opening toward the ocean. The hydrangea garden stretched below them like a sea of color. "This will be your room," Ethan said, guiding her to the door on the left. "Mine is across the hall. You will have privacy." Mia nodded. "Thank you." As she stepped inside, she noticed a small vase placed on the table. A single hydrangea bloom rested inside it. The petals were soft blue with a hint of purple. She turned back to Ethan. "Did you put this here?" A faint pause. "Yes. I thought you might like it." The gesture hit her unexpectedly deep. Not extravagant. Not grand. Just thoughtful. "Hydrangeas change color depending on the soil," Mia said gently. "That makes them feel alive. Adaptable." Ethan's eyes softened. "That is why my mother chose them." A soft knock on the suite door interrupted the moment. Thomas, the longtime general manager, entered with a respectful nod. His graying hair and calm presence carried the wisdom of someone who had watched this place grow. "Mr. Cole," Thomas said, "your uncle has been making inquiries again. The board meeting is confirmed for next month." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Thank you. I will handle it." Thomas glanced at Mia with a kind smile. "Welcome to Hydrangea Cove. If you ever need anything, please ask." After he left, Mia noticed the way Ethan exhaled, long and slow, as if the responsibility resting on him pressed harder when others were not watching. "You are carrying so much," she said quietly. Ethan did not deny it. His eyes drifted to the ocean, reflecting the shifting blue of the waves. "This place is the last piece of my family," he murmured. "If it goes, then everything goes." Mia stepped closer, just enough for her presence to steady him without crossing the fragile boundary between them. "You are not alone here," she said. He looked at her then, really looked, as if the words had cracked open a space he did not expect to feel again. For the first time, Ethan Cole did not look like a man made of steel. He looked human, and Mia felt something shift, quiet but undeniable, as the ocean wind carried the scent of hydrangeas through the open suite. The evening air around Hydrangea Cove shimmered with a warm glow of lanterns as the resort prepared for the quarterly gathering of board members and senior investors. The event was more than a celebration. It was a stage where alliances were measured, loyalties were questioned, and small gestures could tilt power in one direction or another. Mia stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, adjusting the soft blue dress Ethan's staff had chosen for her. She felt the fabric settle against her skin like a reminder that she did not belong to this world. Yet tonight she was expected to walk into it with her head held high. Through the tall glass doors, she saw Ethan speaking with Thomas and the head of finance. His posture was straight, his expression composed, but Mia sensed the tension beneath the controlled exterior. Every public appearance mattered. Every whisper had weight. When Ethan caught sight of her, something subtle changed in his face. A quiet softening. He excused himself and crossed the room toward her, the low hum of conversation folding away as he approached. "You look good," he said quietly. The words were simple, but the sincerity behind them made Mia's heart tense in her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "I just hope I do not make mistakes." "You will not," Ethan said. "And even if you do, I will handle it." The reassurance steadied her more than she expected. Together, they stepped into the ballroom, where chandeliers scattered warm golden light across the marble floor. Elegant tables surrounded a central stage, each decorated with hydrangea centerpieces that echoed the gardens outside. But the warmth of the room cooled the moment Derek Cole approached. Well, Derek said, swirling his champagne. You clean up nicely, Mia. There was a polished cruelty in his smile. Guests nearby looked over, sensing the tension rising like a quiet electrical charge. Mia kept her hands clasped. Thank you, Mr. Cole. It is just surprising, Derek continued, his voice carrying enough volume for others to hear, that someone from such modest beginnings can adapt so quickly to luxury. I suppose necessity teaches people all sorts of skills. A few board members exchanged glances. Someone stifled a laugh. Mia felt the sting, hot and sharp, travel through her chest. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. Ethan stepped forward. His voice was cold and precise. Derek, you will choose your words carefully. Derek lifted a brow. I am simply making conversation. No, Ethan said, you are attempting to humiliate my wife in front of the board. And that will not happen here. The word wife hung in the air like a declaration louder than the music playing behind them. Conversations around the room faded. Every eye turned toward Ethan. Mia looked up at him, startled, not by his anger, but by the unshakable conviction in his posture. He was not performing. He was protecting. Ethan continued, Mia is here as my partner. Anyone who disrespects or disrespects me. If you have an issue with that, we can move the board meeting forward and discuss your behavior formally. A heavy silence followed. Derek's smile faltered. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. Very well, Derek murmured. Enjoy your evening. He slipped away, the tension around him dispersing like smoke. Mia exhaled shakily. You did not have to do that. Ethan turned to her, his expression gentler now. Yes, I did. No one gets to diminish you. Not here. Not anywhere. Something inside Mia shifted, soft and warm, like a door opening to a room she had never dared to imagine. The ballroom lights glowed brighter around them, and for a moment, the noise faded into a distant hum. Ethan, she whispered, thank you. He held her gaze, and there was something vulnerable in his eyes, a quiet truth he did not yet know how to speak. You are not alone here, Mia, he said. And tonight, neither am I. As the music swelled and the crowd slowly returned to their conversations, Mia felt the first real crack in the wall she had built around her heart. The night after the gala felt unusually quiet at Hydrangea Cove. The lanterns along the garden paths had gone dark, and the sound of the ocean drifted through the open balcony doors of Mia's room. She stood there for a long moment, replaying Ethan's words from earlier, the fierce conviction with which he defended her. But morning brought another kind of storm. Mia woke to the vibration of her phone. Dozens of messages, missed calls, and notifications flooded the screen. Her breath caught the moment she saw the headlines. Ethan Cole's contract bride, a marriage for power, not love. Anonymous source claims Ethan married to keep his failing resort. Who is Mia Turner, the girl behind the deal? Her stomach tightened. Every article used the same phrase, contract bride, and every one of them mentioned Hydrangea Cove as a sinking asset Ethan refused to let go of. It was all twisted, weaponized, designed to wound. The door to her suite opened softly. Ethan appeared, still in the shirt he had worn the night before, sleeves rolled, eyes exhausted. You saw it, he said. Mia held the phone against her chest. Ethan, what is this? Why would they print something like that? His jaw tightened. He stepped farther into the room, the morning light outlining the worry in his face. Derek leaked it. He wants to frame our marriage as manipulation. If the board believes I'm married out of desperation, they will push harder to take Hydrangea Cove away from me. Her fingers trembled. So the story is based on truth. The silence between them changed. It grew heavier. Ethan took a slow breath. The reason I needed a marriage was never about love. I told you that from the beginning. But you did not tell me the whole truth, Mia whispered. You said the board wanted stability. You did not say they were forcing you to sell this place unless you married. Ethan's eyes flickered, revealing the truth she feared. I wanted to protect you from the politics of it. You have enough of your own pain. I did not want you buried under mine. But I am buried now, she said, her voice cracking. Only this time it is under lies and headlines. He stepped closer. Mia, listen to me. I never intended to hurt you. She shook her head slowly. Intentions do not change reality. Right now, The whole country thinks I married you for money. They think you used me as a shield. And I do not even know which part of that is wrong anymore. Ethan flinched as if her words were a physical blow. Mia, please, he said, his voice low. Let me explain. There should not be this much to explain, she whispered. The scent of hydrangeas drifted faintly through the open balcony doors. For the first time since arriving, Mia felt the beauty of Hydrangea Cove twist into something sharp. I need space, she said. Ethan froze. Space. Yes. She stepped back from him, clutching the phone like a lifeline. I need to think. I need to breathe. And I cannot do either of those things here. Ethan tried to steady himself, but she saw the flicker of fear in his eyes, fear he never showed anyone else. Where will you go? Home, she said. To my mother. I should have been with her already. He nodded, but it was the kind of nod a man gave when he had no power left to hold anything together. I will have the car ready, Ethan said quietly. No, Mia replied. I will go on my own. Her words cut the last thread of control he had been holding. His expression collapsed inward, softened by something raw and unguarded. Mia, do not walk away like this. But she had to, not out of anger, but because the ground beneath her felt too fragile to stand on. She picked up her small suitcase and walked past him. Ethan did not reach for her. He only watched as she stepped into the hallway, her footsteps steady, but her heart breaking with every step. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Ethan stood alone in the silent room, the echo of that sound settling over him like a weight he did not know how to lift. The bus ride back to the city felt longer than usual. Mia sat by the window, watching the coastline fade into a muted line of blue. Hydrangea Cove shrank behind her with every mile, and with it, the warmth she had only just begun to feel. Her suitcase rested at her feet, but the heavier weight was the silence in her chest. She reached the small apartment she shared with her mother, who was recovering slowly. The familiar scent of lavender and warm blankets wrapped around her the moment she stepped inside. Relief washed through her when she heard her mother's soft breathing from the bedroom. But peace did not last long. Later that afternoon, Mia stopped by the local cafe where she used to work. The owner welcomed her with open arms and set down a cup of herbal tea in front of her without asking. You look tired, sweetheart, the owner said. Rough week. You have no idea, Mia whispered. Before she could say more, the doorbell chimed. Thomas, the longtime general manager of Hydrangea Cove, stepped inside. His presence alone was enough to make Mia stand still. Mr. Thomas, she asked, startled. What are you doing here? He removed his hat and placed it carefully on the counter. His kind eyes looked heavier today. I came to find you, Mia. Ethan, he is not doing well. Her breath caught. What happened? Thomas pulled a folder from his coat, worn, filled with printed documents, dates, financial tables, and real estate transactions. This is why the scandal surfaced. Derek orchestrated all of it. He has been preparing to take the resort long before you arrived. Mia opened the folder. As she scanned the papers, her confusion deepened. These numbers, they do not make sense, she murmured. The land value is listed far lower than the market rate. Correct, Thomas said. Derek paid an appraiser to undervalue Hydrangea Cove. Once the board believes the resort is losing money, they will vote to sell it. And Derek plans to buy it through a shell corporation. Mia felt a chill run through her. He is sabotaging Ethan. Thomas nodded, and he used the marriage scandal to make Ethan look unstable. The vote is in 3 days. If Ethan loses, the resort, his mother's legacy, everything he has tried to protect will be gone. Mia pressed her hand to her mouth. Her pulse raced. Why are you showing this to me? Ethan should see it. Ethan will not listen to anyone right now, Thomas said gently. He blames himself for hurting you. He believes he deserves to lose. The words pierced something deep inside her. Thomas placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You're the only person he lets in. He needs you, and the truth needs to be told. Mia looked again at the documents, each one a piece of a puzzle she had been too overwhelmed to see earlier. Derek's scheme was clever, calculated, and invisible to anyone who did not understand the hospitality world. But Mia did. She exhaled slowly. I can explain these numbers. I can prove the manipulation. Thomas gave a small smile. Then come back with me. Stand with Ethan at that board meeting. Mia looked out the window. Rain had begun again, tapping softly against the glass in a rhythm that felt familiar. The same storm she had walked into when she first met Ethan now returned, as if to remind her of the path she was meant to take. Her mother's voice called from the hallway, soft and warm. Mia turned and walked to her room. "Mom," she whispered, "I need to help someone. Someone who has been helping us in his own way." Her mother reached out and squeezed her hand. "Follow your heart, Mia. You have always known the right thing to do." Mia breathing, steadying herself. She gathered the documents, slid them back into the folder, and lifted her suitcase again, this time with purpose instead of fear. "Thomas," she said, meeting his eyes with quiet resolve, "take me back to Hydrangea Cove." Outside, the rain intensified, but Mia felt her path clearing. Because this time, she was not returning as someone running from the truth. She was returning to reveal it. The drive back to Hydrangea Cove felt different this time. The rain still streaked across the car windows, but Mia no longer felt the storm pressing in on her. Instead, she felt something steadier rise inside her, a quiet certainty that the truth mattered more than fear. Thomas sat beside her in the back seat, hands folded, watching the coastline return in soft, misty glimpses. When they arrived at the resort, the once warm and bustling atmosphere felt tense. Employees moved quickly through the lobby with lowered voices. Mia sensed the shift instantly. "They know," Thomas said gently. "They know the vote is happening today." Mia nodded, clutching the folder of evidence. "Where is Ethan?" "In the conference room," Thomas replied. "But he believes he is already lost." Her chest tightened. She hurried down the corridor, her shoes tapping against the polished floor. The sound echoed louder than usual, as if the building itself held its breath. At the end of the hall, the double doors to the boardroom stood open. Inside, the long oak table was filled with board members, investors, and senior executives. Derek stood near the front, speaking confidently to a cluster of them, his voice carrying across the room. "Hydrangea Cove has become a financial sinkhole," Derek declared. "Sentimental value cannot excuse poor performance. We must sell before the losses grow worse." Several members nodded grimly. Ethan sat alone at the far end of the table, shoulders squared but eyes distant. His expression was carved in stillness, the kind a man wore when the fight had drained out of him. Then he saw her. Mia stepped into the doorway, rain-soaked and breathing hard, the folder tucked beneath her arm. Ethan rose to his feet instinctively, shock widening his eyes. "Mia," he whispered. Every head turned. Derek's smile froze. "What is she doing here?" Mia walked forward, the entire room shifting around her like a tide. When she reached the center of the table, she placed the folder down with a steady hand. "I came to tell the truth," she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried through the room with clarity. One board member frowned. "What truth?" Mia opened the folder and spread out the documents. The undervalued land assessments, the doctored financial reports, and the real estate transactions tied to a shell corporation. "These are the appraisals Mr. Derek Cole submitted," Mia explained. "Each one lists Hydrangea Cove at a value significantly lower than market rate. The numbers were manipulated to make the resort appear unprofitable." Gasps rippled across the table. She pointed to another sheet. "This is a record of payments from a real estate firm that Derek controls under a different name. The intention is clear. He planned for the resort to be sold at a loss, then quietly acquire it through this company." Derek's face reddened. "This is absurd. She is fabricating." "No," Mia interrupted, her voice steady. "I worked in hospitality before my mother fell ill. I understand valuations, occupancy trends, and the true earning potential of a property like this. Hydrangea Cove is not failing. It is being sabotaged." The board murmured louder now, leaning in, flipping through the documents. Mia turned to Ethan. Her eyes softened. "You were right to protect this place. It was never the problem. The problem is who has been trying to steal it." Ethan exhaled slowly, as if air returned to his lungs for the first time in days. Something fragile and grateful flickered across his face. One board director cleared his throat. "Mr. Derek Cole, these are serious accusations. We will require a full investigation." Derek sputtered. "You cannot take her word over mine." But the room had shifted. The tide had turned. Mia clasped her hands in front of her. "I did not come here to hurt anyone. I came because truth matters, and because Hydrangea Cove deserves better than to be buried under false numbers." Another director stood. "A motion to postpone the sale pending investigation." A chorus of agreement followed. Ethan looked at Mia, something unspoken passing between them. Relief, awe, and a spark of something deeper. "Mia," he said quietly, "you came back." She met his gaze. "I had to." Derek pushed past the table, fury written across his face, but no one followed him. No one defended him. For the first time, Ethan stood tall not because of his title, but because someone chose to stand beside him. The investigation into Derek's actions moved swiftly in the days that followed. With the documents Mia presented and the board's unanimous decision to suspend the sale, Hydrangea Cove was safe. Employees walked through the halls with renewed relief. The gardens seemed to bloom brighter, and the ocean air felt lighter. But Ethan changed most of all. He stood taller, breathed deeper, and carried a quiet warmth that had been absent when Mia first arrived. Yet there was still something unspoken between them, something waiting for clarity, something tender that hovered in every glance they exchanged. On the morning after the board meeting, Ethan knocked gently on Mia's door. "Mia," he said, "come with me. There is something I want you to see." She followed him down the familiar stone path toward the hydrangea gardens. The early sun cast soft rays across the petals, turning shades of blue and violet into an ocean of color. The breeze carried the faint scent of salt and flowers, wrapping around them like a memory waiting to unfold. Ethan led her to the hill, overlooking the entire resort. The hydrangeas swayed gently, creating a sea that looked almost unreal in the warm glow of morning. "This place survived," Ethan said quietly. "Because of you." Mia shook her head. "It survived because it deserved to. I only showed the truth." He stepped closer. "You showed me the truth, too." His voice trembled slightly, not with fear, but with sincerity that felt deeper than the ocean stretching behind him. "Mia, when you left, the world went quiet. I realized that everything I have built means nothing if I cannot share it with someone who sees me the way you do." She lowered her eyes, her breath catching. "Ethan," he continued, "I told myself our marriage would stay a contract. But every day with you broke down the walls I spent years building. You saw me when I did not know how to be seen. You stood for me when I no longer knew how to fight." He paused, the breeze stirring his hair, softening the edges of the man who once carried himself like iron. "I want more than gratitude. I want more than a contract." Mia felt her heartbeat shift, warm and full. Ethan reached into his jacket and removed a small velvet box. He opened it, revealing a simple ring shaped like a blooming hydrangea petal, elegant, delicate, meaningful. He went down on one knee among the flowers. "Mia Turner," he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion, "will you marry me again? Not for the board, not for the company, not for anything written on paper. Will you marry me because I love you, because I choose you, and because I do not want to live a life where you are not standing beside me?" Tears filled Mia's eyes, softening the entire world around her. The waves crashed gently below the cliff, as if echoing the beating of her heart. She knelt down too, placing her hands over his. "Yes, Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking with joy. "I will marry you, this time for love." Ethan exhaled a soft sound that carried both relief and happiness. He slipped the ring on her finger, and she leaned into him as he rose, their foreheads touching, the wind lifting the petals around them like confetti from the sea. Below them, the resort glowed in the morning sun. Employees stepped outside, looking up toward the hill, sensing something beautiful had happened. Ethan tightened his hands around hers. "We will build something new here," he said. "A future, a home, a place where every part of our story is allowed to heal." Mia smiled through her tears. Together, the camera of fate pulled back slowly, revealing the cliff, the endless ocean, and the blooming hydrangeas surrounding two people who finally chose each other. Their contract had ended. Their real marriage had just begun.